like you taught thousands of people in many countries. Is there any maybe pattern that you are seeing over the world what human beings are doing, and they should really look at it and shift it in the other direction that you believe will make our world a better place? Like, is there anything there that you would see like across cultures and countries?
I do travel a lot, but I think that I'm a little bit limited in the fact that most of what I see is what people that come into my programs, which is a very thin slice of the population of the world. These are people that have already at some level decided they want to get better. They've already decided that they want to become more of who they are. And so I don't know that it's a fair judgment. I will say this. I will say that I'm apolitical, so I'm just going to say this up front.
We are apolitical here,
good,
so it's okay.
But Bill Clinton said something when he did a National Achievers Congress here Singapore years ago, and I had to speak after him, but it was like and somebody asked him a question. They said, how do you feel about all the stuff going on in the world and this going on in the Middle East and that going on here? He goes, I'm really optimistic. He says, I see freedom breaking out all over the world. Any Bill Gates interviews, he has an incredibly different view of the world than most. He says the world's getting better. Standard of living is getting better. People are living longer. Quality of healthcare is getting better. Diseases, fatal diseases are going away. And so I tend to be on that side of the equation a little bit. I have one of my very best friends sits on exactly on the opposite side of the equation on that. So we constantly have this friendly debate about it. But I'll tell you that I believe that the world is in a better place than it was even a year ago. I think that the number of human beings that want to work on themselves and are focused on human and personal development is skyrocketing all over the place. Unfortunately, it's in developed countries where only people that can afford it do it. Unfortunately, I think that's changing too. That's why I was really inspired to be teaching teachers in India right now, because I think that I told them that their whole culture is about the connectedness of things. It's all about that nothing is isolated, that everything is linked together, maybe from lifetime to lifetime from their perspective, but it's all linked together, so they understand the importance. I am a big believer. My original mission statement back in 1984 was to improve the quality of life for everybody through transformation of the marketplace, by transforming the way people do business and creating code of honors and environments where people could grow. And I recently shifted that about 10 years ago.
Recently?
Yeah, which said to improve the quality of life for everyone by transforming, by creating the greatest teachers and leaders on the planet that we can, because I think that the issue on planet Earth, if I were to be a prognosticator, is not an issue of monetary policy, environmental policy, climate change, all that other stuff, which are real. But the issue that underlies all of it is a gigantic, monumental, pivotal crisis in education. I mean, catastrophic consequences. Here's why. Because I don't see any of those problems that cannot be solved, even solved quickly, with level thinking people that know how to think, know how to solve problems, that are well educated. Now, I'm not talking about textbook educated. I'm talking about educated in the ability to perceive a problem, solve it properly, and on the personal development side, to do it without worrying about the political repercussions and blah, blah, blah that all goes along with all that stuff. And so one of the reasons at the time of this taping, a fellow running for the president of the United States, a guy by the name of Donald Trump, is right. And I'm not saying I'm a Donald Trump fan, because I'm not. Okay, clearly I'm not. But the reason that he's so popular is because he's willing to stand out and be completely apolitical and just say whatever the heck he thinks. Unfortunately, what he thinks, I'm not 100% behind. But the fact of the matter is that this breaking away of the bonds of what's proper and what's not proper and what the machine says you got to do. So anyway, it's a little divergent, but I think in answer to your question, the race right now is is an educational race. It's Buckminster Fuller, who was one of my great teachers, he said that human beings seem to emerge through emergency. That human beings, he used to say, human beings seem to seem to come through only in the nick of time, come up with a solution to something. Problem is we've put so many things into effect that have such accelerating chain reaction effects that you just can't just say, well, I'm going to make a change now, it's going to fix that, because it's already in play. The dominoes have already fallen. So you got to get out in front of the problem and solve back from it. You can't solve to fix a problem that's already going down the road, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
But these are challenges that we can teach our kids how to think this way. We can teach ourselves how to operate this way. We can teach ourselves how not to panic in the sight of impending doom or whatever, and to be able to come through and come together as teams to become, certainly when I was in Japan just a few months ago, I was talking to people. What was it like? What was it like when they had the earthquake and they had and the nuclear plant meltdown and all that stuff? They go, I've never been so proud to be Japanese. It was what I heard over and over again. I said, why? They said, because everybody, even the people on the streets came together, were holding hands, taking care of each other, very much like what happened in the rain on Kilimanjaro. And so for me, that gives me faith that core, deep down inside, human beings will do the right things if put in the right environment, the right context, and given an education how to deal with it. If you don't know how to deal with it, you're going to go into panic. And when you go into panic, your emotion goes up, your intelligence goes down, and then you're going to listen to some bad advice from some other idiot who's also in panic mode but has a louder voice. And that's basically what happens in politics and what happens with leadership. So, long answer. And but you know what? I feel really strongly about it. That's why
I can feel that. You feel very passionate about it.
That's why I keep talking about it. I go, teachers are leaders. And so I say that if there's one thing that I do well, that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I can do well, probably better than just about anybody, is teach somebody to teach. And teach somebody to teach in a way that will transform other people's lives in the way that we're talking about. And I maintain that great teachers are leaders. Throughout all history, the most important person of any tribe was the teacher, the shaman, the person that passed on the body of knowledge to the next generation, taught the lessons, the wise elders, always the most important. Those were always the ones that the tyrants would kill, lock up, or assassinate in order to kill the old cultures. So we know those are important. But in this day and age, we've reached a precipice in humanity with about 7.5 billion of us on the planet that great teachers and leaders will take us to the next level. And some of those teacher leaders will be in politics, some of them will be in business, they'll be in all various sectors, but they have to have the skills to teach, both technical or physical skills, but also emotional and psychological skills. And if we do, we'll make it. If not, it will have been a great ride anyway.
That's spoken like Blair singer. You dedicated, I don't know if it's your entire life, but by now it has been many, many years, to educating people. And I know that you're very passionate about the subject and just creating more numbers of people who are teachers and leaders. It's very much at the core of what you do.
Right.
So it's like really, really important to you. What would be one advice for the people out there who want to kind of bring it one level up? Like they are teachers, they are leaders, and they just want to go one level up in what they do so that they can show up in a bigger way. And as a result, they can serve more people in a more profound way.
Well, I think there's two parts to it, because as you were saying, it's something that came to my mind. I never set out to teach people to teach. It was never the original goal. And so for those people you're talking about to get in to step up, perhaps the motivation might be the same as mine was. My original motivation had nothing to do with teaching people how to teach at all. The only reason I wanted to teach is because I saw some guy in front of I was in a weird place in my life, and my first personal development, business development trainer was somebody I really admired. And I admired his lifestyle. I go, I want to be like that. Because I just saw where I was, which was fairly broke and kind of in a, like I said, a weird place. And I wanted to get better. I wanted to be rich like him. I was single at the time. I wanted to have lots of women around me like him. I wanted to have nice cars. I wanted to have the lifestyle. I wanted to have a business. So I figured if I could learn what he learned, then I could get that way too. So that was my thought pattern. So I wanted to be rich. That was the issue. That was the driving motivation, was not to save the planet. None of that. That happened, kind of came in later. Although maybe that was the whole purpose to begin with, and it was just the universe hanging a dollar sign out in front of me.
No, you elevate your consciousness, right, along the way.
Right, exactly. So for me, so I figured if I could teach that course, it would force me, and he said, you have to earn the right and walk the talk. So I go, okay, well, I'll build a business, I'll do this, and I'll learn it. So the course, being a teacher, was a means to another end. It was not a means to become a great teacher. It was just if I could teach this, I would be it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what got me started. So I would say, and then lo and behold, over time, it transformed into what it is today. And I mean, it's still a similar motivation, but with a much greater sense of purpose. And I think that, as Fuller said, you never know what your true purpose in life may ever be. But just rest assured, rest assured you're fulfilling your purpose if you commit yourself to the highest advantage of the greatest number of people. And that, I remember when I watched that on a video, and I remember, and just stuck in my brain that that's what I would do, because it seemed logical at the time. Okay, so your question is to get people to step up. I will tell you that becoming a teacher is probably, on the commercial side, is probably one of the most valuable commercial skills you can have if you want to be an entrepreneur. I will tell you that the ability to stand in front of a group of people, to be able to talk about what you do, to be able to teach them something, to add value to their lives, will endear you to thousands of people that will be automatically attracted. I look at a guy like Steve Jobs, who was a great speaker, but he was somewhat of a teacher, and he would go in front of rooms, and he was the icon that drove that business. And that's a great example for me. And I think that for people that say, well, that's great, Blair, I'm not here to show you the plan, I just want to make some money. I'm going to tell you that learning to teach will help you build your business, will help you recruit people into your business, will help you sell your business, will help you sell your product and services to millions of people, will give you more reach than you ever thought possible in your entire life. And at the end of the day, what's going to sneak up on you is you're going to feel really, 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 really fulfilled. You're going to feel really good about the end of the day, because you're going to watch people's lives change, even though you were just trying to do it for commercial reasons. That's part A. Part B is that when you then begin to realize that you do have an influence on the world around you. I was very blessed to be introduced to a fellow by the name of Po Chung. Po Chung lives in Hong Kong today. He's started a little company that you would have heard of called DHL International in Hong Kong, with about eight people, and then it grew to over 200,000 employees, and he sold it to Deutsche Post, I believe. And we had the opportunity for a couple of years to work together. I think mostly he was mentoring me, and I was hanging around. I was hopefully helped him. But he said this. He says that as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, he says he said his words, it's your societal responsibility to teach other people.
When we speak to someone, when we share a moment, even when we share our own thoughts, we're constantly learning, because we constantly become more enlightened to who we are and to what we're hearing and to what we're what surrounds us.